All right, we're live. All right, welcome to the legal psilocybin panel. So the psychedelic renaissance is in full swing with FDA drug development and millions of dollars in investments and decriminalization measures passed in cities across the world. But the reality is that psychedelics like psilocybin are actually legal in very few places on the globe. So we have some experts in the legal side of the psilocybin trade here. So I'll allow you to introduce yourselves. This way, starting.
I'm Jack Crane. I'm with the Swiss Chemist.
Chantal Pinch, also with the Swiss Chemist.
Oliver Carlin with Curative Mushrooms. We help sad people grow happy mushrooms at home.
And I'm Charles Lazarus with Rose Hill Health and Wellness, and we also help sad people everywhere. Good.
Yeah. So let's stay with Charles. Down at the end, maybe some more context on what you're working on and what you do.
So my business partner, Kevin Burke, and I, who's right there, we have a consumer packaged good brand called the Patu in Jamaica, which we do chocolates for Journey, microdose capsules, honey, gummies, just hitting at different things that people would desire to achieve with mushrooms. We cultivate for retreats as well as our own retreats, which is One Retreats, which focuses mainly on veterans, but we're kind of moving into non-veterans, everyone else, right? And we also sponsor psychedelic research. We just signed with the University of Guelph in Canada for autism, which is exciting, right? I think we can talk about that now, right? For
Yes.
we couldn't before.
Yeah.
And we're just open to be able to ship internationally. We also did that. We ship internationally.
Yeah, so maybe just some context on Jamaica first to introduce. So Jamaica is one of the only jurisdictions in the world where psilocybins are legal in all its forms or in certain commercial aspects. What's the legality of psilocybin in Jamaica?
I think we were just really lazy and we never listed it. So it's like lawn clippings.
Right.
It's like lawn clippings. It's like, okay, you package lawn clippings and there's no, it's not illegal. It's just a mushroom. It's just a mushroom. So you'd have to operate with good agricultural practice because people are going to consume it. But there is no law against.
There's no law against it.
No, we're in a good position right now. I would say that we're kind of at the center of everything that's happening, which is what makes it important to have a presence there.
So there's not much legal framework. It's just something that appears in nature that you're allowed to operate. Is that the legal framework in Jamaica?
They consider it an agricultural product.
An
at this
agricultural
moment.
product.
Yes.
Okay, exactly.
With that said, though, we do sit on the Jamaica Mushroom Industry Technical Committee under the Bureau of Standards, trying to formulate standards for how the industry is going to look so that we can present formally.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Maybe let's fill in a little bit of what's happening in Jamaica first, because it's one of the only jurisdictions that's now commercially operating. I mean, I think we have truffles in Holland. Oregon has just launched its measures for commercial access, which is very limited in a very limited way. So I think Jamaica is kind of the trailblazer when it comes to developing a commercial market for psilocybin. Is that it? Is that your experience?
Yes, certainly. And I think for more reasons than that, Jamaica should be the center of psilocybin. You get there and you reconnect with nature, and it's just a warm feeling you get talking to everyone there. It should be the center, regardless of the legality. So that's really nice. And also the technical committee has...
We're going to do it anyway, Jack.
Yeah. Certainly. But it's nice to see, we've banded together and making sure, self-regulating to some extent for now, making sure we're all following safe practices, working together to move this forward completely. And
I think to be better prepared for when the government does decide to do something with this industry. I think that with this technical committee, we've all sort of inputted information of best practices that we want to follow and that we will hold ourselves to, and we'll be better prepared for what's coming.
So the Jamaican government is supportive of developing this industry?
They are supportive, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, also bear in mind that the tourism aspect is pretty massive because you have retreats. Loads of people are flying in from all over the world to sit with the medicine in Jamaica, which is positive, and we like that, you know. And you know, I think Jamaica would like to have some of that wellness industry that places like Costa Rica enjoy.
I don't want to leave curative mushrooms out of this. Jamaica's an interesting test case. So you've maybe explain a little bit about what you've been working on, and we could say how that's another aspect to the legal psilocybin trade. A bit what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So Jamaica, they have the luxury of things being legal, whereas in the United States, we don't have that luxury. So we created a kit that allowed people to get the mushrooms grown at home legally and streamline it for them so they don't have to go and put everything together. Just make it easy so they can get the mushrooms, and you know what they do with it is up to them, kind of thing.
So yeah, maybe some more context on that. So psilocybin mushrooms are not legal in the U.S. They're somewhat legal in Oregon in a very limited way. So most people, if they want access to psilocybin in the U.S., so growing is not really regulated. Maybe some context on what you can and cannot grow.
Yeah, sure. So we spend a lot of time educating people on their rights, what they're legally allowed to do. And what people are legally allowed to do is they can own the spores of Psilocybe cubensis, which is the most popular grown mushroom, cultivated mushroom in the country, in the world, with almost over 100 different strains and stuff like that. But they can own those spores 100% legally at home for the purpose of studying them under a microscope. So we created a book that shows them how to study them under a microscope so that they can get these spores legally from a vendor that we work with. And then we at Curative Mushrooms, we supply grow bags and education and training material, and we're able to offer a grow kit with the mycology guide as a bonus. And so they can get everything in one place in a legal way. And so we want people to be able to understand what they're legally allowed to do. And that's what we do.
So the grow kit is a general grow kit for growing mushrooms, and then the spores are a separate, they get spores separately, and your grow kits could be used theoretically for any type of mushrooms?
Yeah, you got it exactly. The grow bags will grow, the manure-loving grow bags will grow with any mushroom that likes to grow in manure, like cow patties, horse manure. Those types of mushrooms will grow very, very well in that bag. And yes, the spores that you study under a microscope also like to grow in manure. So we would never advise anyone to break federal law, and because once you inject that bag, it becomes psilocybin. So, but separate, there's nothing illegal, right?
So you have thousands of people around the country pretending that they're scientists just to get access. Yeah, which shows the kind of hurdles and jumps and acrobatics people have to do to access medicine. So these are some of the trailblazers of giving people access. Maybe to our Jamaican friends, you've seen now what it's like for legalization, and decriminalization is happening, legalization is happening, and I guess it's increased access. So have you seen some of the positive effects of a community of people having easier access to psilocybin?
I would say so. I think it's brought people together already. It's brought the whole community together, and psilocybin just promotes such a positive, life-changing, healthier lifestyle that can just get overlooked. It's a connectedness that I think Jamaica already had, but it's just reinforcing.
Yeah, I'd also like to add that we don't really historically have a mushroom culture. We have a ganja culture,
Yes.
right? So people smoke ganja, right? So now that mushrooms have become more popular and it's trending, it's having a chance to kind of hit with the positive light that it's now being cast in. There's no like old school stigmas from before. So you have a lot of the young kids, young youths, like experimenting with it, and that's positive.
Was there a negative stigma in Jamaica around psychedelics?
I mean, not really. It's not really a part of our thing. So maybe if you're well traveled and you know about various other psychedelics, and you might have a predetermined mindset towards it, but I don't think for the general Jamaican. So now they're meeting it for the first time, and it's positive.
And the culture, it was probably fertile soil for introducing something because Jamaica had a pretty open culture around natural substances. So is it the right place for it?
True. Sure. Yeah. I think also like coming out of just the Rastafari and how the culture looks at things in that way and open and positive, and so it just kind of fit right in.
Chantal, what's been your experience? Have you seen the fruits of your labor?
Our company has a few outputs. So we have a store on the beach in Negril, which is a small shop. We have a small shop on the beach in Negril, where we have a woman who's pretty well knowledgeable about psychedelics and psilocybin. And we've been finding that a lot of the even local Jamaicans, not just tourists, are even just coming there to speak with her and inquire about the product. So I'm seeing that there's definitely more curiosity and more openness, whereas before it was very much a, am I allowed to swear? Am I allowed to swear on here? We don't F with that. We just smoke ganja, right?
Free of them.
Swear away, it's allowed.
So we're seeing a definite shift for sure, because we get to engage a little bit more having a location. So we're speaking with customers and so forth.
Yeah, and Jason said like Patu, our brand, is sold in boutique hotels, health food stores, apps similar to Uber Eats. You can just order it and a bike man will bring it to you. So there's a lot of accessibility, right? So we have a responsibility to educate.
Yeah.
So we're in the stores where it's sold. You can't just onboard every store. You have to go in and train the staff, spend time interfacing with guests so that they can experience how you're doing that. And then education, lots of education, because it's a good thing and we don't want any, what's the right word, casualties, anything negative to come and hurt a good thing,
Yeah, I believe backstage you said cannabis, they effed it up on the ground.
I never said that.
No, sorry, no, that's not a quote. It's
I
not a
don't know
direct
what he's
quote.
talking about, everyone. No, So the way in which Jamaica approached cannabis had a lot of red tape, right? I don't think we had a choice. America, the big boss, said you have to have this red tape. We're going to do it first, and you guys can't do it. We experienced that we're in a strong position with this because there's no laws that we have to walk backwards so that we can move forward. We can just move forward. So we're trying to be responsible with how we move forward so that if the microscope comes down, as it usually always does, we can say, no, we did this, we're responsible with this. So I think that answers your question.
Yeah, and you're one of the leaders on the space there. You the first legal exportation of psilocybin out of country?
Correct. Yeah, we got to, with the help of our partners in Canada, ship, I think the first one was 4 kilos of dried biomass in February 2021, and that was the first Health Canada issued import permit. And then beyond that, we did, went up to like 16 kilos and so forth and so forth. And then that went to the University of Alberta, where they did extraction and I guess distributed it to various clinical trials and whatnot. So I think that was to make it that organically derived psilocybin had a space in clinical trials beside synthetically produced psilocybin.
I guess that goes to show the benefits of giving a jurisdiction legality. It creates commercial opportunities for people. So Jamaica is one of the first places, so it creates opportunities for new industries, and that spills over into the economy. And
well, just to add to that before we leave it, so in America, it's not going to be federally legal for some time, right? So if you're doing any form of clinical trial, it has to have a legal beginning. It can't start in a shady place, right? So because of chain of custody, it has come from a legal place into a legal framework somehow, and then everything downstream in the IP is it's ridiculous, but that's just the way it works. So it makes Jamaica even more important. Like if you're going to look at things like, you know, medications or whatever that looks like, I don't really know what that's going to look like, but that thing, which is why I guess a lot of the publicly traded companies in Canada and have come to Jamaica to, you know, do their research or whatnot. It's also much cheaper to do certain studies at the University of the West Indies than it would somewhere else. You can start there and then do the second part somewhere else.
Yeah, I do see a lot of collaborations with companies who are, I guess, are doing their early research in Jamaica. So
Indeed, and that's what really helped us, because before you're not going to grow 20 kilos of mushrooms, 30 kilos, whatever, if you don't have a reason. It's not, you know, depending on the products that you're selling and the volume that you're selling per month, you're just not going to put yourself through that. So unless there is a reason that you're not going to make your grow project more and more sophisticated, which is what we have to do, you know? I mean, there's loads of obstacles that we have there that you don't have here, you know, like, electricity, for example, is very expensive in Jamaica. Like, people come out of a room, they turn off the lights. If you don't do it, everyone noticed and they don't like you anymore, right? It's really expensive. I think it's the highest in the Western Hemisphere, right? So to grow mushrooms that you have to bring the temperature down, that's going to require energy, which is going to drive the cost of mushrooms. So like we have to be doing all sorts of crazy things. And we just invested in geothermal, for instance, so that we can make it that we can keep the place cool, which is great because now we can say, oh, well, we're sustainable and solar and all that, which is great, you know, but we have to go through all those hurdles as well. But because of there's an industry and it's growing and growing, you know, it forces us to do those things and innovate and get a little bit of a head start. Because, I mean, maybe I've seen pictures of grows in other places, and I'm impressed. Like, wow, I can't believe the work that they must put in for that. And we won't necessarily have that. We have to focus more on, you know, maybe our indigenous fungi that's there, personalities, using all the retreats that are there to collect anecdotal data, which we do, you know, how does this fruit feel? What's the personality of that fruit? How can we apply that to these products? How can we turn to practitioners and say, yeah, if you're doing this, then you should really work with that, you know? And we get to that because we grow for loads of the other retreats. So it's like, all right, well, what are you doing? We're working on depression. Okay, or we found that this is probably a good place to start. How was it? You know, and getting feedback from them. You know, we also do, for ours, it's Navy SEALs primarily. So that's
retreats?
a whole other thing, yeah.
Yeah. So Oliver, that's kind of an education segue. Education's a big part of your process. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about
education. And the hardest part, though, is trying to educate people when I can't say clearly what I'm trying to say. Because if I say the wrong thing, now it's, you know, it's conspiracy to commit a crime or something like that. And so you've always got to be extra careful just to stay legal, right? So that you can operate at the level we operate at in the country. So.
And have you seen the benefits of that work? Have people reached out and thanked you for your non-advice?
Yeah. We've helped over 300,000 people at this point. We've been in business 3 years, so we've helped over 300,000 people learn how to get access legally to something that grows abundantly in nature in their own home. And we have a podcast where we educate people and we bring in some of the top leaders in the industry to help provide more education. And but then we also have several other platforms because you know, I guess that's the challenge of trying to. I want to tell people about microdosing and stuff, but you can't say certain things, and so that's the biggest challenge.
You can just do it through us. We just set you up in Jamaica and
there you go.
send it down there and then export it back.
Yeah.
It is actually easier to get an import license for psilocybin in the U.S. than to set up a facility that can grow magic mushrooms. So that's Jamaica just makes the process easier.
Here to import something that's technically illegal than to do it yourself. And yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a part of the work in conferences like this and the industry as a whole is trying to peel back all the layers of regulation and bureaucracy and stigma and all of that. So yeah, I guess all of you are working on that in your own ways. So you have commercial products.
Yes.
And retreats as well?
Yes, that's correct. We have a more intimate retreat setting that we try to cater to someone's specific needs. So whatever you're looking to gain from that, we will tailor the experience for you. And then also looking towards the US, I guess I just want to add that psilocybin is moving much faster than cannabis did. It took like over 20 years from when cannabis was first decriminalized in one state to the first medical approval in California. Psilocybin, it took 1 year from decriminalization to Oregon's legal status now. So that is way, way faster. And the people that are supporting it now, it's just different. So I think it's coming to the US quickly. And I don't know how it will, obviously, but it's nice to be in Jamaica in the meantime and continue there. Because like I said, Jamaica should be the center. It's the perfect place, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's definitely moved fast. And cannabis was kind of a trailblazer. It loosened people up to the idea of other substances. And yeah, no, it is moving really quickly. On the ground in Jamaica, I mean, and maybe other personal experiences you guys have experienced through your retreats, through your work. Anything you want to add on that, having worked with it?
I mean, he's definitely touched on a lot of the lot of the information that happens in Jamaica, but just more so on the retreat side, we are just curating a little more key tailored and sort of having it as a platform. I've been in Jamaica for the last 7 years, so I have a property. It's a 12-acre estate, and so we're focusing more so as letting others utilize the space to create their own events. It could be workshops. It could be a quick getaway for people who just need to come back and reground and connect. So we're taking a different approach just because there are people who are and have been doing the more therapeutic and the veteran retreats. So we're just going a little bit differently.
We want people to know psilocybin's for everyone. Optimization. Maybe you just feel a little stuck in a rut. Like, it doesn't have to be a huge experience, though it can be, and it's very useful for that. It's also great just to, feel a little younger, feel like creative again. It's really magical for that.
Happy.
Yes.
Happy cappies.
Happy, a bit lighter as well. So yeah, I guess the retreat models is generally focused on a bigger, sometimes more difficult experience.
Yes.
So retreat offerings that are,
It's for the everyday person who's interested in integrating psychedelics, psilocybin into their daily life, and maybe they just haven't met themselves as deep yet to go through the hard stuff, right, and get down to the root of things. So our focus is a little bit more on the surface level because we're not professionals, we're not the facilitators. So on a responsibility aspect of things as well. But we do have facilitators that we have on board that work with us.
Right.
Well, yeah, and people have a different level of comfort with psychedelics as well. Some people don't want someone guiding them through an experience. Some people do. Some people just want to know exactly what dose they're getting, so we provide whatever you're looking for. If you've taken mushroom tons of times before and just want a great place to do it, we'll give you products, we'll get you set up, we'll make sure everything's safe, all of that.
It's not, some people need to be eased into it. Psychedelics there can be a self-barrier to access where people are, stopping themselves from trying it. And offering those different options will probably help people come in. Oliver, plans for the future? What's next for curative mushrooms?
Yeah, that's so we're in the process of doing different things. We're kind of setting ourselves up for the legality shift. So when that does happen, we'll be able to provide more stuff in a clearer way with better education. We also are in the process of we work, and here's something interesting people may not know, but if you're interested in starting a psilocybin company in the United States, you're legally allowed to do that if you operate, because this medicine's been around for thousands of years, and way longer than the federal government banned it back in the 80s, right? So if you're a church and you operate and you're a member of a church, I know several companies right now that operate legally in the United States, have retreat centers. We're actually working to open one up with Alan Belcher right now in Mississippi, and he's the current MMA champion at bare knuckle fighting and everything. He's interested in getting in this because they've changed his life. And so if you're a church, you're legally allowed to consume psilocybin and all the plant medicine. And that's one of the benefits of being in the United States, because you're protected by the Constitution, and there's several other laws that protect your right to use these plant medicine for personal use if you follow, like, you know, you're not abusing it and stuff like that. So I just think that's interesting, but those are things we're looking at in the future, and also meeting amazing people and building a community and stuff like that.
I wonder how you'll be able to interact as states decriminalize, legalize. Like, I mean, Oregon has restrictions. They're commercially only allowed to operate if they have a license to. So I guess you wouldn't be able to start selling openly or whatever into Oregon. But as things start to develop, and you know, if you get a full decriminalization in a state, or I mean, you're set up for the future reality of what psilocybin will look like.
Yeah, I would say the future, once it's legal, just shipping full grow blocks, making that an option so they don't have to inject them. I think injecting spores, we're always going to have that option because it's just so cool you can just grow from spores. It opens up so many more possibilities. Instead of getting one that's already injected, when you inject from spores, you actually build a relationship with the mushroom. It's kind of weird. Like, I injected one a month ago. It sat in my office behind me on my desk and just sat there and grew. Like, I never did anything. And it just grew behind me. And then now I microdose with it every day, and it's just sitting on my desk. But it's like it was grown for me. His whole life grew out of the thing, watching me, listening to me every day. And then it gave its life for me, and it came inside me, right? And so to me, that's a special relationship that you don't really get with a lot of other products. Sometimes I take a gummy and I'm like, what's really in this thing? You know what I mean? But when you grow it and you know what you injected, you watched it grow, it's kind of a special thing, and it's something people don't really realize. But once they start doing it, they realize it's like your baby. Like, you feel this really amazing, like people, when they start going with us, it's like an unexpected benefit. They're like, I learned so much patience waiting a month for my mushrooms, and it's like I already feel like I'm healing before I even got the mushrooms. And so anyway, that's kind of our vision. We want that to be people to be more aware that they can do these things easily now, and they don't need Reddit forums, YouTube videos, and all this expensive equipment. You just need a grow bag and a syringe, and you can grow pretty much anything you want.
That's a solid ending to the panel, Oliver. That was great. Preach.
That was great.
Passionate ending.
I appreciate that. Any other quick comments from anyone on the panel?
Cultivating is very rewarding. So
It is.
yeah.
It is. I turned my wife into a mushroom girl.
Mycologist?
Yeah, by accident. She just said,
Yeah.
"You got to do this for me.
Yeah.
I'm not there. You got to do this for me." And now, watching them grow really is an amazing thing. We have this where we have the farm in Jamaica. We're going to be making that. We can invite people up in between retreats so that they can kind of build that relationship. Because you're right, it's important. It is
Absolutely.
important,
New partnerships forming
right
on stage.
Right here is my, when it all breaks down, it's my guy.
All right, thanks, panel. I appreciate it. It was great stuff. Thank you, audience.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
very much.